Hey, hello everybody. Super good morning everyone. Kevin Chan here. Of course, it's 7:30 in the morning because right now it's still school holiday, right? So the kids don't need to go to school, right? So that's why I can do this on 7:30 in the morning. Right, so we are circling back to the missing 8 door, which is the fear door. Don't know where the fear door run to. Right, so I have to reproduce this entire episode for those of you who have seen it, or remember seeing it. Hi, it's me again. Hello, Pak Pui there. How are you doing? Hello, Jocelyn. Hello, Katrina. Right, so super good morning and thank you for coming to join this particular session. Right, so yeah, we are talking about the 8 door, one of the more important part in the Chinese metaphysics QiMen Dunjia series, right? So it's part of it that we're going to talk about the functionality and also characteristic of the Theodore, right? So of course, as usual, Theodore is one of the bad guy, or one of the one that got a bad reputation, right? So no, yeah, right, that's right. Yes, and Little Prince is gonna come and do video bomb. Come, Little Prince. Today, Little Prince wake up.
To video bomb too.
No lah, don't do it, butter. Be careful, Other butter. Hello, Kamrai. How are you doing? Right. Come, let me shrink myself down to the smaller version. And we shall go on. Alright, Butter wanna come. Alright, give you a bigger screen. Come. Bring Butter. Bring Butter. Up. There we go. There. We got Cat, we got Prince. Everybody is there. Okay. You're scared. I know you're scared. Alright, enough, baby. Alright. Butter's getting scared, baby. Alright. Say bye-bye to everyone.
Bye-bye. Subscribe to Daddy.
Yeah, subscribe to Daddy.
And most certainly, no.
Hey. Hey. Inside, no screaming. Just chase Butter out. That's it. Yeah, kids, cats. That's what inside the house right now. Right, so no, as usual, get in touch with me. Telegram is a good place for you to start out with, right? So come and join the Telegram community. A lot of things to download, right? So or you can go for the newsletter, right? So the newsletter is where you read about all the forecasts, some excursion, anything at all that I would like to send to you via email, right? So it's basically that side. And also the community channel, which is the Facebook channel, right? So you have any question you like to source for a community help, go and join the Facebook channel as well. Hello, Winnie. Hello, I am down, right? So wow, right? So and Eve, how you guys doing, right? So this is a achievement chart, right? So if you're practicing achievement, you need to get access to achievement chart. It doesn't matter which level you are practicing. So if you don't have a software provider, Typing Astro is the one I'm using currently right now, right? So feel free to use the same. You can register just for a free account. Okay, just get yourself registered for a free account, right? So that will basically give you a basic chart for you to use. By the way, the free account and also the what we call a paid account, the main difference is a lot of structure has been identified in the paid account, and also you can do searches in the paid account. If you are on the normal account, your access will be just a little bit more restricted, but it is still the same information, okay? Right, so still the same information. So if you take a look at the achievement chart, each of the 8 boxes consists of 4 separate information, right? So the 4 separate information are 8 doors, right? And then the 9 stars, the 10 deities, which you have covered all of them, okay? So the doors right now, we got the last fear door that, we failed to cover. And also 10 steps, right? So hopefully eventually one day we will finish all the database thingy, then we can move on to actual practicing how to use QiMen, right? So QiMen is not the most difficult one to practice, as right now charts is very readily available. Plotting a QiMen chart is very difficult, right? So plotting the particular chart is a bit laborious. You need to plot all the 4 component into the chart. By the time you finish plotting, you would have fallen asleep already. All right, come, let's take a look at the Theodore, right? So now, as usual, the Theodore, because the name chosen was a fear, so a lot of people associate this with the negative side of stuff, lah, right? So negative side of stuff. Right? So of course, if you go and understand the actual origin of, how they make assignment of this thing, right? So you will start to know that a lot of this is very seasonal and very humane related things, right? So the 8 door, a lot of time we use farming as an analogy, right? So it's probably used in the farming itself, right? So or you want to say put in a war setting is also the same, right? So no, you see, fear door, they a lot of time they label this as a very negative door, but in actual sense, the fear door is just a very protective state. Right, when you are in a state of fear, you are actually in a state of looking for protection. So it's actually just a very protective state of a person, only nothing much more than that. Right. So if you take a look at the storyline, we have been using the farming as the analogy for all the door itself. So you just imagine right now, you're in the September, right? So fear door belong to the west side, right? So later we'll take a look at that. Door is human aspect representation. Action, summarize. Door is all action. Right? Door is all action related. The stem is representing the people, right? Human or the actual interaction is represented by the stem. The environment is represented by the stars, and the deity represent intent. That's basically it. That's pretty simple. Right, so this is September. So September is at the peak of what you call autumn. Right, so at the peak of the autumn, the main worry right now. Now in the olden day, the challenge, right? So it's actually to survive winter. Nature is the biggest enemy in the olden day. Like in the olden day, when we are, not as advanced as right now, right? So right now you can turn on aircon, you can put heating on. Hardly you need to fight the environment right now, right? So we are spending more time damaging the environment than actually fighting the environment, right? So but during those type of time, when you reach the apex of this autumn, this is where you realize whether your entire year's work, I mean, farming, whatever that you're cultivating, is enough for you to survive winter or not. The question is actually just winter survival, whether you can survive winter or not. So by this time, you would have already done all your stock pick on, how much food you have, how much whatever resources you have. You only got two result only. One is that you do not have enough to survive. Now, can you see where the fear come in? Right, where basically the fear is coming in. Number two, that you actually have enough to survive, then if enough to survive, why is it have fear? Those that don't have enough to survive will come after you. Make sense? Correct. Right. So this is actually the time whereby a lot of fighting would actually happen. Right? Fighting, revolution, all those things happen when people have not enough. If everybody have enough, no one want to fight. Right? It's when everybody do not have enough, especially for survival. You can check all the revolution. Every single one of the revolution in the particular world happen at the point where normal citizen can't even have food to eat. When food, lodgings, all this basic necessity is cut off, this is where the people come together and fight. Right? If not, the people will not fight. Right? People basically, won't come together, as long as they got enough food for themselves. Right? So we are a bit on the what we call selfish side of it. Right? So it is during that particular time. So can you see that the fear door is basically just trying to protect your own self-interest? Yeah. Fear door is a little bit on the selfish side. So now when you are subjected to the fear door, you are actually in that particular state, whereby you are trying to protect something that is seemingly important to you. It could be something that's not important in an overall sense, but it's seemingly important to you. Right? So that's where the fear door comes in. So fear door is highly protective. It's very highly protective, but in a very, again, very selfish manner, the protectionism coming in a very selfish manner. So if you have anything that you're reading which has the fear door there, which means that there are something worth protecting that's happening right now. You may not agree with the thing that is being protected. You may not agree with the tactic that is being used as a protection. You may not agree with that, but that is basically what is happening, right? So fear door in your destiny palace are not enough. Fear, got not enough. Fearing being wrong. Right, so Ronnie, that could be like, right. So if your fear door is in your destiny palace, you are a highly cautious person. That's all, yeah. Right, so you do everything very cautious itself, right? So of course, externally when they see you is they may conclude that you are, constantly in this high anxiety, crazy state. Yeah, it's like like a person who is in the what we call conspiracy theorist type of thing. I know it's like go everywhere. It's like ooh, ooh, ooh. Right? So it's like scaring that everybody gonna come and harm you. Nothing much one. It's just that your sense of what we call danger is a little bit on the high ups. Right, so given right, so haha, not the person cause other to fear. In a way, you can also do that. Nah, in an interrogation, So if you are interrogation or doing an interview or whatever it is, right, you can put your subject into the fear door. It's easier to get information from the other person. Okay, yeah, right. So you can use this sort of a tactic. So that's the basis point of the fear door lah. So please don't like when you see the fear door, it's like, oh no, the person is in fear, or you're in fear. It's correct, but not correct at the same time. So if you take a look at it, the fear door original palace is basically on the west, right? So it's original on the west, right? So of course, a lot of time when you apply this, right? So not the counter, not counter, the palace control, whatever, is only applicable to the stamp, only applicable to the door, only applicable to the star. Deities are not affected by palace. Okay, deity is neutral on all palaces. All right, so there's no countering whatever it is that is inside the particular palaces. So this basically talk about the intensity of the fear door, how fearful or how powerful the fear door. So which means like the fear door is completely useless in the east. When the fear door go into the east, it's basically completely useless. Right? So that's why if you have any result which is at the east and then the fear door appear, it's like nothing. Right? So because the east represent the harm door, which is taking massive action. So taking massive action would basically close off the fear. Right, so like for example, the southeast is basically the information palace. So when Theodore go there, is that you start to understand the situation. Then no problem lah. You start to become smarter, right? So things like that. So the Theodore, is lesser of a problem, right? So if you go to the south, it's under control. So the south control vision. So you get to see what is basically happening. So it's lesser of a fear. So the south, you can imagine, those situations, you watch ghost movie, right? So I like to talk about ghost movie a little bit because it's just in ghost movie you can see a lot of illogical thing happening. Right? So in ghost movie, when the ghost is not around is where the show is most scary. Right? So when the ghosts haven't popped up yet, they're still building up the backstory. I haven't seen the ghost yet. But when the ghosts start coming out and start chasing people, right? It's actually not fearful anymore, right? So that's why the fire basically counter the what we call your uh, metal, right? So fire counter the metal. So the fire itself exposes the fear. So you are facing the fear. You're staring the fear down at its own. So that's why it's lesser of a problem. So of course you go to the earth side. It's basically like the southwest is producing the fear. Right? So the southwest is the one that always causes the fear to intensify. Right? So when it's in the west, then it's true fear. In the west means it's true fear. Right? So now if it's in the northwest, is a what we call a controlled type of fear. Right? So you see, the northwest is basically the Qiangua, or the palace of power. Right? So this is power utilizing fear. These people punches bigger than you. You don't listen to me, I punch you. Those type of fears. Right? So water is basically running away. So running away, the fear cannot, right? So fear is usually very localized. Fear is usually very localized, right? So which means that if it's like bullying lah, bullying. At least in the olden day, if you switch to a new school, they cannot bully. So the northeast grave mean that the fear is contained. That's all. The fear is basically in a contained state. So it's like watching fear in a zoo. It's like a tiger in the zoo, right? So tiger in the zoo, tiger dangerous, still dangerous, but inside a zoo. Right, so that's why if you take a look at it, it depends where the fear door is when you are doing a reading. Then only you'll be able to use the fear door in a correct manner when you're interpreting it. Right, so pretty simple, right? So now example, right? Example like this one of the charts. So you see that the fear door goes into the southeast. Right? So if fear door go into the south, you can see that everything is black. Right, so if you see everything is black, this particular fear is super fearful. This could be a situation because it's together with Phoenix. It's a situation whereby there are people screaming, It's a destruction. So this one can actually represent a riot. A destruction, phoenix, ren and kui. Ren and kui mean that is a what we call the heaven net and also the earthly trap. This one is basically called mean that it covers everything. So which means that it's a situation whereby it's very noisy, cover everything. It could be a aerial bombardment happening. You don't know because it's wind hexagram. Wind hexagram means something that basically come from the aerial side. It could be an aerial bombardment, whatever it is. Right, so it's very loud, very thingy, right? So all this kind of thing, right? So are we reading the destiny chart or the hourly chart? Kaheng is always the hourly chart. QiMen actually don't have destiny chart reading. I need to repeat this to a lot of people. QiMen is not designed to do destiny reading. You want to do destiny reading, please go back to Party. You want to do feng shui reading, please go back to feng shui. Okay? So QiMen is always about forecasting, so we are actually just doing forecast, right? Why northeast is great when both northeast and southwest produce both years. Manual, that one is basically from the 12th growth phase. There is always a graveyard for all the elements. All the elements always have a graveyard. Right? So you go and study the 12 growth phase, and then you have a one thing which is called the graveyard. Right? So graveyard is always the fourth color. Right? So the fourth color means that the dragon, the goat, the dog, and also the ox. These are all four graveyard for element. So the one of the element will go into the graveyard when they meet one of these four. So when you're in the graveyard, it just means that it is trapped inside. It exists but trapped. Right? Theodore with heaven, right? Worry about future resources. Yes, correct. If you're Theodore with heaven, then the main thing right now is that you're worried about your future vision, you're worried about future resources. See, Noni already know how to do combination reading. Right, so in QiMen, it's actually just learning how to do combination reading. Right, so you take a look at the situation, so So now, depending on what you are actually reading right now, right? So if you want to just combine, right? Let's say that want to combine it with relationship. So your focal point is relationship, and just pretend that that particular box right now is a result box. So you know that this situation right now is countering the relationship. So the harmony is in northeast, right? So this is wood, wood counter earth, right? So then you have this particular what we call situation whereby your relationship is actually currently hindered by the amount of fear that there is. Right, so it's basically happening. So which means that a lot of people probably is objecting towards your relationship, whatever it is like. Okay, right. So that is how you basically do a reading on, let's say, you're forecasting certain incident. Right. So it depends on what you basically is trying to forecast. Right. So Katerina, you like, oh, what if Theodore this, what if Theodore that one until end of the year also I cannot finish talking about it. Right. So yes, Jocelyn, same thing with your Theodore with Green Phoenix, whatever it is, right? You go and combine it on your own, right? So if I start explaining every single thing, you might as well come and join my class. Right. So come another example, right? So another example like this one, I tell you is true fear, right? So because the fear door is actually inside the West Palace where it is most powerful and most potent. Right. So if you take a look at it, this fear door has to do with harmony, has to do with the what we call the right. The star that has to do with the study, I also forgot already, right? So yes, Ronald, so we have that right now is that you seems to be having a bit of a reservation in term of your relationship. Now, so again, please do not go on relationship, then always your brain need to go to love. This must be love related. No, relationship just mean more than one party. That's all. This can be a business relationship. This can be a cooperative relationship. This can be any relationship at all. Right? So please don't just always conclude that you see the harmony. It is going to be love related. So love is just one small little speck inside the entire box of harmony. Right? So you need to go and read everything in contextualization what you are reading. Right? So like the assistant star is basically just information. So you could have received certain information from a not a very good party because Kui water, not a very good party that is informing you about your relationship lah. So right now you're in a state of unsureness and fear. That's all only. Right? Does it mean that it's correct? It is not correct, right? It's not right. Don't know. It depends on your community, public, private companies. Community, public or private companies equal stars? You can use star to represent businesses or environment, right? Basically environment is right. So no, yeah, so if you're talking about a community meeting, then yeah, it's an environment, right? So then you can use the star as a representation. It basically just tell you what is the local environment. So of course in the olden day you are fighting a war, then there is the land topography, right? It's basically the land topography, right? So it's like the pillar is basically marsh and also swamp. Okay, so you open up pillar, you are fighting marsh and swamp. That's all. Right, so this is basically Theodore in that particular, right? So now, yeah, and then another one more example. I think I got three. Right, so now this Theodore is basically inside the South Palace, right? So the Theodore inside the South Palace is less of a problem, right? So you actually know what happening, right? So it's together with the chief and also heart, right? So these two are very strong decision making stars, right? Very, very strong decision making stars, right? So that's just that if you take the Ji and Ren together, the people who are making the decision is a little bit on the selfish side, right? So you can clearly see that the action that is taken in terms of protecting certain uh, interests is going to be very selfish. That's all, right? So you see the situation as such, right? So is it wrong? Is it right? No, it's just explaining to you the circumstance that you might be in, right? It's just that the circumstance that is might be in, right? So that's the entire situation. Reading is not that really difficult one. It's just that a lot of people got a very little concept of circumstantial reading, right? So they try to read it as in if there has a actual result, so which I usually tell is that it's an English brain way of processing. English brain way of processing always think that there is one fixed result, but in Chinese brain of processing is multiple different results, right? Because again, Chinese is a bucketing system. One bucket inside got many things inside. It represents many things. It doesn't have one fixed answer. Okay, that's basically the Chinese system. So it's profound, great, and whatever. So the Chinese system basically again, right? So if you go through the entire process of yin yang, so it's basically telling you everything in the universe is separated, into Tai Chi and Wu Chi. Tai Chi are things that you know. Wuji are basically things that you don't know, right? So in the world, there's only these two states, ma. It's either you know or you don't know. So anything that you know, it can become known. Anything that you don't know can one day become known. Anything that you think you know right now, you will start to find out that there's a lot of things that you don't know. Make sense, right? So then for those things that you know inside the Tai Chi, right? So then there's yin and yang. Yin and yang just basically separating everything into two buckets. Don't care how you say the bucket, tall, short, hot, cold, whatever it is, right? You separate everything into two buckets. Then from two buckets, they separate into four separate buckets again, right? So they separate into the Tai Yin, Tai Yang, Sao Yin, Sao Yang, right? So they separate that, and finally they add the third line in. It becomes the eighth trigram. So the eighth trigram is the basis of the separation. Everything in the universe get separated into the 8 bucket, right? So now you can start to see, right? If everything is in the 8 bucket, then there is a lot of freaking thing in the bucket. There is no way for you to draw conclusive to the point conclusion in any reading at all in Chinese metaphysics. So if you are okay with this basis of thinking, Chinese metaphysics is very easy for you, right? So, but no, a lot of people is too English brain. English brain mean that I have to have answer, have to have answer. Every time I see this, the answer must be the same. No, right? So that's science. So science always tell you, if you repeat the experiment, you should end up with the same result. That is science. Okay. In Chinese metaphysics, unfortunately, no, that's not the case, right? So every single one is individualized, unique way of doing things, right? So that's why you need to have a bit of your mental rubber band need to be a little bit more better. Right? You need to have a little bit more acceptance to the situation. So that's why if you get two-person to read the same chart, you get two separate results. If let's say that you get a person who is very positive in terms of relationship to read the chart, they will give you positive answer lah. If you have somebody who just went through a lousy relationship, or all this while the traumatic growing up relationship has been super bad, right? So okay, right. So yeah, right. So you have that. Then the reading for relationship is always die, 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 die. Right. So that's why if you want a good reading, you have to get somebody who is like rather neutral. So that's why a third party reading usually is pretty okay with this, because why, the third party got no vested interest in you. Yeah, I know, they're just reading the chart. They're reading the chart, they just tell you the situation, what the chart is talking about. I know they don't care about your feeling, they don't care about your perception, they don't really care about much of it. And those type of reading are usually much more accurate and useful. Right? But in the end, it's basically how useful, what you're gonna do with the information now that you have some information that you have previously don't have access to. Yes, John, you're right. So it's five art is not five science. So that's why I've never argued with people when people said this is not scientific. It's like, duh, it is not scientific. We have never said that, we are working on a scientific basis. And what's so great about being scientific, you tell me? Okay? Nah, nothing. So, you just do your science stuff, not that I don't believe in science. I believe in science, right? So, but then this particular thing is not working on science basis one. So that's why, you don't need to go to, everything need to be scientific proven. Don't need. Right? It's just information, read it, take the information, go and take some action about it. Right? So of course, the second part of it is that a lot of people don't take action. Yes, after 1 decade, 10 years of practicing this, yeah, about 10 years already I'm practicing this. Okay, right? So I found that the biggest problem with people is that they don't take action. Right? Talk also no use, right? Talk a lot also no use. You don't take action, there is huge result. Okay? Right? So guys, whatever it is, if you're studying this, right? So do incorporate taking action into whatever that you are doing. Right? So whatever information that you get, you have to go and take some form of concrete action. Right? Don't just take in the information and just sit around doing nothing. There's just too many people that I know sit around does nothing, and they just constantly complain, and time just get lost, and then they blame, right? They just complain and blame, right? So all this one, okay, take action is the hardest step for some. Yeah, like in a way, right? So always, couple with taking action, you will find that the additional information you get from actually practicing this is ultra amazing, super amazing, right? So you have a additional lens. So if you combine this with a bit of a scientific mind of yours, I usually say that the logical side of things, right? The logical side of things, because there are a lot of things inside that maybe is overhyped, oversold. I also don't blame them for overselling, right? So it's like a lot of people say that, oh, it shouldn't be like this. Here is it, everything is two-way yin yang one, right? So one fella oversell something, there must be one fella who's stupid enough to buy the oversell. Yes, ma. All right. I want to scam you. You also must be scammable, ma. Tylo. Right? You cannot scam somebody who have no desire. Yeah, right. You go and talk to somebody who have zero desire and see it's impossible to scam the fella. Right? So it's easy to scam you is because you got certain amount of desire that usually have to link with laziness. QiMen give idea about our own mindset. Yes, if no already, like, learn to change the mindset. Correct. Learn to basically protect your mindset from the external environment. Right. So yes, mindset is just one part of the many components. So I just told you that everything basically is three-part one. Always is trinity, right? So always trinity. One side is always the physical side, which is the form, the taking action. One side is basically the mental side, which is your intent. So the third part is basically the chi, which is the feel, right? So all these three must always be there, right? So for you to do something. So a lot of time I tell people, example is like cooking. You need to have a recipe. You need to actually go and cook. And you need to have the ingredient. All these three need to be there, right? So if you only got cooking and ingredient, no recipe, you don't know what the hell you're cooking, right? So if you have the recipe and also the cooking but no ingredient, also nothing come out. If you have the recipe and the ingredient but you didn't go and cook, also nothing come out. Correct or not? all three need to happen, right? So in driving car also is the same, you know, it's the trinity. You need to have the car, then you need to have the road, and you need to have the driver, right? So probably driver is going to be deleted soon, but you guys understand the concept, right? Understand the concept, right? So the car and the road without the driver, it won't work. The driver and the road without the car, it won't work. The car and the driver without the road also won't work, right? So all three need to be there. Right, so that's why, you know, a lot of time you just need to understand one component, then you need to work on the rest of the two component, or you have all three components. Right, so in this Chinese metaphysics practice is basically your QiMen, very mindset. Right, so very mindset. So the feng shui is actually quite action based. Right, so now the translator, right, how you see the world is your bazi. Right, your bazi is basically controlling how you translate the world. So you know all these three, right? So you can control your mindset, control, understand the translation, and boost up the action, right? So yeah, you can go faster than a lot of people. Cool, guys, right? So that's your fear door. Not very fearful, right? So not very fearful. So please, next time you see the fear door, you know, don't just simply conclude that, you know, oh, fearful, you know. So fearful, so what, right? So fearful is just a state of you trying to protect yourself from being attacked, or more specifically, is protecting yourself from being perished. Right? So fearful fella actually has a longer lifespan than the rest of the door. Right? So if you're talking about lifespan, fear door people actually live longer. Okay, right? Because why? They won't go and engage in dangerous. Right? They're basically there. You want to die, you go die. You go die. I don't want to die. So they will live much more longer than any other doors there, right? So you will live longer. So of course, you know, the harm door will be the one that, you know, always dive into what we call dangerous part, right? So yeah, right. So fear door actually will live much more longer. All right. So now that's it, right? So we covered all the door already. Then, you know, next we want to go in and take a look at the stars, right? So now, you know, we're gonna start to study the stars. Then last we're gonna go through the stem. Then we're gonna go through combination. Then we're gonna go through Rojak. Rojak, when you add this together, then, you know, they give it a tacky name. Tacky name. Right? So which means that this 3-1 put together is called a combination. That only lah. Right, so, you know, I found out that you can actually build your own combination. There's nothing wrong with building your own combination. Yeah, these are just Lego pieces. Everyone play, you know, this is a game of Lego. Okay, that's it, guys. See you all. Bye.